Hello, welcome to my channel, Lux to O. And today I wanted to share with you some rose scented fragrances, or fragrances that do have rose in it. And I titled this, "A Rose by Any Other Name Would Smell as Sweet." And this line is of course from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. And it just popped into my head for absolutely no reason. And I wondered in high school what that meant and didn't really care to find out. It simply means that a thing, whether it's a person or a place, would not change its inherent characteristic by simply attaching a different name or label to it. In the case of perfumery, a rose fragrance is different by adding notes. Types of roses, what's the harvesting location for a rose, and the process which can change a perfume's fragrance. I have a friend who absolutely detests rose fragrances, or so she believes. For instance, I wore Creed Carmina's and her eyes began to water and she sneezed and thought it was an old rose scent that she could not be around. To be honest, I'm not fond of Carmina either. I have worn other rose dominant fragrances and she has not had the same reaction. I did not think I would like rose either because I usually associated it with fragrances that my mother wore back in the 60s and 70s. Today, I want to share 5 fragrances that are absolutely not old-fashioned. The first fragrance is probably one of my favorites on this list, and this is by Boadicea the Victorious, and it's called Ardent. And I love their bottles with the shield on the front and the name on the back. And it's an absolutely gorgeous fragrance, of which I do have a backup bottle. Not that I need it, and I've worn this quite a lot. But with Boadicea the Victorious, it does not take a lot for it to really shine. I call this as being regal and dignified. It's considered an oriental woody unisex fragrance, with fall and winter being the best season for it. It was created by Christian Provenzano, and I have found that so many by Christian Provenzano I really enjoy. This creation, Ardent, has an undeniable presence. It's bold and opulent, and definitely not for those who want to make a statement without shouting. This has a rich, kind of a dignified, smoldering type of fragrance. Ardent opens with a striking and immediately captivating blend of saffron and rose. The saffron is rich, slightly leathery, but don't let that put you off, and provides a start to an exotic and luxurious scent. This is intertwined with that deep, velvety Turkish rose, which in here is not light and dewy, but more jammy and almost liquor-like, with romantic intensity. Let me also show you the spray, and I hope you can see it. And I just love that. I think they have a wonderful bottle, beautiful bottle design, and the fragrance inside is just absolutely fantastic. As the initial notes begin to settle, the heart reveals a sophisticated and an intoxicating array of nuances. I detect whispers of amber, which I think adds that golden warmth. I also get hints of a soft, elegant cashmere wood, providing a creamy texture with a grounded strength to it. The dry down of Ardent is where its enduring character truly shines. It is anchored by rich, warm base with notes like oud, but not an animalic oud, vanilla, and a good dose of musk. The oud provides that luxurious, slightly smoky, resinous foundation, while the vanilla adds that creamy, slightly gourmand sweetness. But it doesn't come across to me as gourmand at all. But it is slightly sweet, and it kind of softens any rough edges and definitely enhances its addictive quality. The musk really ensures a lasting sensual trail that is both powerful and incredibly comforting. It leaves a sophisticated, memorable sillage when you're leaving the room. It has a high concentration of fragrance oil, and it's for someone who appreciates a complex, artistic perfume. It's intense, long-lasting, and projects, I think, an aura of refined power and passion and an undeniable magnetic quality. It's not a casual scent to me, but rather one that should be reserved for special occasions. You can wear it whenever you want to, obviously I do. But when you want to feel utterly captivating and unforgettable, I would suggest trying Boadicea the Victorious Ardent. And this will be a real magnetic presence for those around you. 3 words for the fragrance of Ardent would be majestic, complex, and unforgettable. The next fragrance on this list is a real gem from Ormonde Jayne. This is Damask, and I would define her as an elegant lady. This is more than just a rose scent. This has a sparkling, vibrant quality with a bit of dew-kissed petals and a little honeyed bliss to add more allure. The opening is wonderful, with freshness too, and I'll show you the diffusive spray there. And she could certainly rival Boadicea the Victorious spray too, atomizer as well. This would definitely rival Ardent's atomizer as well. Very nice and diffusive. The opening to this is quite wonderful, with a fresh quality. Damask has a fruity, kind of full-bodied aroma, and you certainly get that in this fragrance. You have in the top notes black currant, Argentinian lemon, and pear. In the heart notes you have rose, jasmine, and pink berries, and you do get the berry quality. In the soul, or the very base of the fragrance, you have mineral amber, musk, and vetiver. The texture to this fragrance I would define as being lush, thick, soft velvet. The color would be a pink, and I don't mean a baby pink, but more of a mid-pink, if I had to assign a color to it. Damask Rose has that honeyed, light, slightly musky quality. And in Ormonde Jayne's Damask Rose, it is absolutely not an oud rose. I received some of the nicest compliments on this fragrance. I walked into a store and they told me they could smell the fragrance as soon as I walked in and thought it smelled like an elegant lady. Perhaps that was just my essence. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Most likely it isn't. But distinctive delusions are not that bad. I did find their Taif rose perfume to be a little bit more traditional, expected type of rose fragrance, and I returned it rather quickly. I purchased a different rose scent and strongly disliked it as well, but then discovered it had Taif rose in it. So I think that might be one that I'm not super fond of and should certainly try before I buy. So I make sure I read what roses are in fragrances prior to purchasing them, because I found that makes a real difference to my nose. 3 words for Ormonde Jayne's Damask Rose would be opulent, lustrous, and very lively. The next fragrance is very different, and this is by Initio. And I know you've heard people speak about it, and this is Atomic Rose. I would classify this as a dark seductress. And yes, you hear many people talk about this temptress, and it is hype-worthy in my opinion. It opens with a very potent burst of Bulgarian rose and some bergamot that helps it to feel zesty and bright. In the middle, you get a creamy, almost lactonic note. On my skin, it creates a deep, concentrated floral essence with jasmine. Turkish rose is in here, and hedion, which enhances that floral majesty in this fragrance. Beautiful fragrance. It has a captivating allure as well that is very alluring, dark, and has a very sensual feeling to it. The color I think for this fragrance would be a dark Chianti. The texture I think is thick and syrupy. The lasting power and sillage are both a 9 out of 10, and that's for Initio's Atomic Rose. 3 words for the fragrance I would say would be spellbinding, intoxicating, and magnetic. The next fragrance is Tom Ford's Cafe Rose, and this is a delicious rose that enjoys her coffee, and I was surprised to be drawn to the bottle at Sephora. My opinion on Tom Ford fragrances is that I do not like a designer or a niche that feels like it must use or find amusing to use outrageous names to draw people to a particular scent. I do think I'm going to choose a scent that expresses who I am and what I'm feeling. Then I refuse to choose one that if I'm asked what scent I'm wearing, I don't even want to say the name. As many in Tom Ford's line for me. I'm not a prude, but I am not going to indulge in those deplorable scented names. There are too many fragrances that offer so much without names that can be offensive. I believe, however, I am going to cave in to the Tom Ford line and purchase this fragrance. I think the bottle is very appealing. For some reason, it must be the color of the bottle, I'm not sure. But for some reason, I like it, and I also like the texture on the outside of the bottle, and the fragrance is quite addictive to me. I can't resist smelling it every time I'm in Sephora. This is a classic rose, but it intertwines with a dark spiciness. Maybe it's an incense and also the dark roasted coffee beans. And it offers a mysterious fragrance that is not dewy or fresh, and it certainly isn't a typical rose. The rose in here is more jammy and lends intensity to Cafe Rose's creation. The middle notes, you have a smooth chocolatey type of patchouli, and in the base of Cafe Rose you have rich amber, sandalwood, and it's a very pleasant, slightly smoky type of quality to the fragrance. Think of this as a dark, sexy rose wrapped in spices, along with some incense drifting up, and that creamy, lush, rich warmth. Moderate for lasting, moderate sillage, and the price point is not bad, as some of the other Tom Ford fragrances can be quite expensive. It has a complexity to it. The texture to me is like that dark, thick brown velvet. I think it's an absolutely lovely fragrance. 3 words would be intriguing, classy, and mysterious. The last fragrance on this list is by one of my favorite designers, Narciso Rodriguez, and this is Rose Espice. I guess that means spices. It's an amber floral. I have a dedicated review on 4 from Narciso Rodriguez, and I would try to link that below. This one is an amber floral unisex that is perfect for fall and winter, and even on spring days. The top notes are davana, cardamom, mandarin, candied fruits. Mid notes you have Bulgarian rose and their signature Narciso Rodriguez musk. The base notes you have amber, patchouli, tonka bean, and cashmeran. It's a rose spice fragrance that feels not like a flower or a rose garden, but more like a Narciso Rodriguez reborn, with floral, woody, and spicy notes all combined. So many from Narciso Rodriguez is such hits with me. From their jasmine musk to their patchouli musk to this wonderful creation, as well as their tuberose musk too. They have so many to choose from. And this is a classic Narciso Rodriguez musk, and a scent that is intriguing, but also offers a warm sophistication. This is not like their Musk Rose Noir, which I love and think it's very crowd-pleasing to me. This has a totally different feel. The opening positively just bursts with brightness, and you get that from the color of the bottle. It's kind of that golden color that's very attractive. The opening positively bursts with bright mandarin, with an aromatic freshness, with fruitiness from the davana, but also from sweet candied fruits. It is not a cloying fragrance at all. The color of the bottle is beautiful enough to already draw my attention, and the cardamom in it offers a warm, slightly peppery, and a little bit of a resinous quality on my skin. The Bulgarian rose is deep and velvety instead of a light, airy, dewy fresh rose, which I would normally say I would choose, but in here it's absolutely beautiful. And when it's blended with their musk, well, it becomes absolutely very warm and very enticing. The base adds a sweet, lasting warmth. If I had to assign a texture to the fragrance, it would be a soft, lacy velvet with little raised dots to add dimension. And to me, that would signify soft, warm, spicy complexity. And I think this scent is gorgeous, and it's different from many rose fragrances that I have in my collection. And certainly if you're a rose lover, and if you're not, this is one I would definitely suggest getting your nose on. 3 words for this fragrance would be bold, sensual, and chic. But thank you so much for joining me, and I would love to know what your rose fragrances favorite ones are and why. What is the difference in your rose fragrances compared to so many others? Please like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I will look forward to seeing you in my next fragrance video, my fragrance friends. Goodbye.